Hey everybody, Piper Harris here, and welcome to this week's Less Than 10 Talk. I am the coach and CEO of Poema Women's Success Coaching. So Less Than 10, I hope to give you some tidbits and tricks and maybe even some personal stories that might help you in your life. So let's get into it. My coach and I, yes, I have my own coach, asked me the other day, what are the biggest mistakes that I've made and top 5 that I learned from? So when she asked me this, I thought, okay, I have way more than 5 mistakes, but she really wanted me to drill down into thinking about the mistake and what I learned from. So it took some time and I came back to her and I had my list of 5 things. Then she said to me, I want you now to kind of comb through what you do as a coach, what you do in your practice, what you do in your life, and how have you used these mistakes and what you've learned from and applied it to everyday life. So today I want to share that to you or with you. So the first mistake that I learned from was don't play less. So for years, I honestly can say that I struggled with self-esteem. I thought that I had to play myself down to get people to accept me, to like me. And this really hurt me in a lot of different ways. It's ruined friendships just because simply I gave and gave and gave, and then ultimately they didn't give back. It hurt me in the sense professionally because I'd play myself down to make others feel superior. And ultimately it bit me in the butt because I felt like I was being taken advantage of. So the lesson that I learned was don't play less. Surround yourself with strong women, whether that's in your personal life or your professional life. And here's the second thing that I learned about don't play less. In fact, and this is kind of the ugly side of this mistake that I learned from, I was almost using it as a manipulative tool to get people to like me. Ugh, isn't that gross? I really don't think I thought about it then, but now that I reflect on it, it was my way of ingratiating myself to people and people liking me more, and it didn't help anything. In fact, it made things worse. So number one mistake that I learned from that I apply now is don't play less. And in fact, what's really interesting about don't play less is I see this probably, I would say, in 4 out of 10 of my clients, maybe 5, half of my clients if I ever have 10. This is pretty common. And I think a lot of times it's because women are not comfortable with self-promotion. In fact, I wrote about that this week in Thrive Global, that we're uncomfortable with self-promotion. We're uncomfortable with saying, hey, I'm capable of doing this, or speaking up in relationships, or maybe you feel less than. And it really hinders your progress, whether personally or professionally. So are you playing less? I want you to think about that. Is that something that you're continuing to do, or maybe you did play less? And what did you learn from? I'd love to hear from you about that. So the second mistake that I learned from is I have got to be bold. So I have so many opportunities in my life that I reflected on when she asked me this question of not speaking up, of not using my voice. In fact, weeks ago, I shared with you when I was a counselor at a boys ranch, I was the only female staff member there. And in fact, one of the men grabbed me and brought me to the kitchen and taught me how to whip eggs. Keep in mind, I was there as a counselor on staff. And I was young. I was very young. He was an older gentleman, and I bit my words back. And I hate that. I hate that I didn't use my voice and I wasn't bold. So the biggest lesson I learned from that is be bold. Because here's a question that always is running through my mind, and I said this to my coach, is what happened by me not using my voice and not being bold? Did he continue to have these views of women and put those on women there? Or what if I had used my voice? What if I had been bold? Would I have stopped maybe some of his behavior? Those are all questions I don't know the answer to. But here's the thing. Use your voice. And this kind of goes back to the first part, right? Self-promote. There's nothing wrong with telling everybody, hey, I'm doing a great job. It's not braggy. It's not ugly. You can do it in a very wonderful way and uplift others. But here's the thing. If someone's speaking down to you, ever, be bold and speak up. Set those boundaries and stick with them. Stick firmly with them. Sometimes that means you walk away from things that you're really enjoying. Sometimes that means you're walking away from people that you thought were friends, but be bold. So that was the second mistake that I learned from tons of opportunities that I've missed in my life. The third mistake that I learned from in my life is that My identity comes from within, comes from within. And I think that this comes along again with building confidence, doesn't it? Where we believe a persona is what people want to see. So many, many moons ago, I was building this persona of I'm going to be this famous chef on TV, right? You guys have heard this story. I went to all of these different TV castings. I was on a couple news shows. I wrote a cookbook. I mean, I was just fighting for this identity and creating this identity. And I will never forget, I had a friend at the time. She's not a friend anymore. And I was sharing with her, hey, I got this last casting call. And I will never forget, I was walking down the aisles in Target. And the boys were in the buggy. And I'm on the phone with her. And I was so excited. And I remember I was right next to the bras because I just remember it so well. I was like in the middle of the bras. My youngest grabbed a bra off as she's saying these words to me. She says, "You're never going to make it." Now, this was extremely painful to hear from a supposed friend. But now that I can walk away or step away and reflect on that pain of what happened and what she said, I am choosing to recognize what she was saying is, this persona is not you, and you won't have success with it. And actually, over the years, as many of you know, it was a persona and it completely crumbled away. What I've learned is my identity comes from within. It's not who I'm trying to show to the world. It's not any of those things. That persona I was trying, this famous chef, she was actually a mom in the middle of Target with 2 toddlers driving her crazy. That was who she is, So your identity is always within. And this is always something important that we work with in Poema Women's Success Coaching, is working on that true confidence, recognizing where your leadership skills are, recognizing where we need to work on some of them. But you have Poema. You are a masterpiece. I absolutely believe that you are created for more, and your identity is from within. It's not what you do. It's not what you're pursuing, but you need to have that inner confidence, that identity from within. So number 4 is chasing happiness. Stop chasing happiness. So everybody likes rewards and acknowledgments and success, right? But that doesn't ultimately give you happiness. It might be temporary, but the things that we accumulate, it's not happiness. And I really did learn that at a time in my life where I was accumulating accolades, all of those things, and everything fell away. This was a point in my life, and I had catastrophic injury that ultimately halted everything, halted the accolades, halted all of those things that I was chasing to fill me up, chasing for happiness. And it threw me into deep depression, because again, I was chasing happiness in things rather than what I focus now on is giving to others. In fact, what I tell myself, and if you guys could see on my mirror and everything, every time I go into a consultation or a call with a client, I remind myself that the meaning of happiness for me is helping others find the meaning in their lives. That's the meaning of happiness. I love giving to others. I love giving to my little boys, and well, they're not little anymore, but snuggling with them. I love giving that time to my husband and my friends and my family, but my clients. The meaning of true happiness for me is not the things, but it's truly giving to others and helping others find their meaning of happiness. So stop chasing happiness. That was a really big lesson that I learned. Last but not least, and I think this is a doozy and one that women in particular struggle with, it's let it go. Who's a grudge holder? I bet you are holding on to something that someone said sometime, they gave you a look, whatever it is, you're holding on to it. But listen, frustrations lead to those ugly grudges, and grudges steal from ourselves and from others. And this is a huge thing. I see so many of my clients coming into the door and they just ruminate. They just hold these grudges over things that happened, the what ifs, and you can't change it. You can't change those what ifs. In fact, I had a client, and she had a particular situation that was very harmful to her, very hurtful to her. But what we were finding out through our sessions, that this situation had happened over 5 years ago. And what she was doing with that situation and that hurt and holding that grudge is she was using it and painting a very broad brushstroke over everything else in her life. And guess what it did? It completely halted her progress to heightened leadership. Because you might think that you're hiding that grudge pretty good, or those hurts pretty good, but people can feel it. People can see it. People can feel kind of like an inauthenticity. And although you have pains and fears and frustrations, you got to let go of those frustrations. You've got to learn to accept them for what they are, see them as opportunities to grow and thrive and move forward. Now, here's the great thing about my client. After we really started, digging through where this broad brushstroke had affected her life, she really worked hard on letting it go and letting go of this grudge and letting go of the situation and the what ifs and all of that. And guess what happened for her? Honestly, within about 3 weeks of her honestly working through this process, she got a promotion. Then she had a headhunter call her, said, "Hey, we want to move you." And then she got another promotion with this amazing relocation package, a retirement package. I mean, anything that you can think of. So letting go, forgiveness rules, really does affect massive change in your life. So that's my 5 biggest mistakes that I've learned from. And I'm wondering, what have you had mistakes that you've learned from? And if you're still struggling with some of those mistakes, maybe you're ruminating, maybe you're trying to be someone that you're not. If you're still struggling with those and struggling to find the opportunities to teach yourself and find that they continuously are halting your progress, I'm accepting clients right now in Poema Women's Success Coaching. We work on helping you transition from those big mistakes that maybe you're still holding on to. I empower you into heightened leadership, whether that's at home or breaking out on a business on your own or breaking into management. So comment below, leave me a message or send me a message, and we can set up a complimentary consultation for you to get over those mistakes and learn from them and apply them to your life. So thanks so much, everybody, for joining me today. I am Piper Harris with Poema Women's Success Coaching. Until next time, I'll talk to you soon.